stadium is quite literally something I've never experienced. This is insane. On this episode of SI College Road Trip, we are here at the University of Alabama, and we're sitting down with head coach Kalen DeBoer and starting quarterback Jalen Milroe.
The standard here is excellence. Excellence meaning beating our opponent each and every game.
So I want to start with this. This program's obviously undergone a lot of changes from last season to now. You got a new head coach, new offensive coordinator, some new players on the roster. How have you adapted to these changes?
Although it was a hard process initially, it became easy and smooth because of the leadership that we had and the hires that were made in the coaching staff. And one thing that's unique about the offseason is there's no shot clock. And so within that time frame, we had different periods of the offseason where we were able to build as a team. And so although it was a tough time initially, it was able to be easier through my teammates, through the coaching staff, and through just trusting the process.
Your coach, Coach DeBoer, has had a lot of success coaching quarterbacks. You take a look at Michael Penix Jr., a guy who was a top 10 draft pick. How is your game adjusting to his coaching style? No,
for sure. You're judged off your last performer, you're judged off your last quarterback. And of course, with him having Michael Penix for the last couple of years, that's something that I reflect on just watching their tape. And now that we're implementing their system, or his system now at Alabama, it's all about putting our football team in the best position to be successful. And so I truly am confident in that, and I'm super excited for what the future holds for our offense.
From a player's perspective, what is the biggest difference between Coach Saban and Coach DeBoer?
They're very unique in their own way, very successful. They do everything they can to be the best version of themselves each and every day, and that influences the guys. But I gotta give credit to Coach DeBoer with him being here, with him being a great person, because the goal for each coach is to critique and demand the best out of each of the players, because there's no room for mediocrity here. And with that, it's also great to have positive reinforcement behind it.
Is Coach DeBoer big on positive reinforcement?
Oh, absolutely. I got a quick story. It was spring ball. I remember one play that we took a shot down the field, and I completed it. And everyone was happy, excited, because it was a great play. Coach DeBoer pulled me to the side and said, "Is everything okay?" And I'm thinking everything's fine. I'm thinking what's going on in my life? I'm like, nothing's going on. And he was like, "You made a really good pass there. You don't want to go celebrate?" I was like, next play, coach. You talk about want to know mentality, want to know next play, and relentless pursuit to the next, and continuous improvement. I'm like, okay, next play. I'm gonna just build off of this rack and go into the next rack. He's like, no, I want you to celebrate those big plays. You made a really good play there. Celebrate those plays. And so that was my quick initial, change right there. It's positive reinforcement behind everything, and there's always a sense of joy being around them. And so that's just a quick example of that.
I want to ask you about the SEC conference, because a lot of people would consider it the best conference in college football. Is there a game that you have circled on the calendar, you got to beat those guys?
Not necessarily. I can truly say that playing at SC was definitely an impact in my recruiting process. I wanted to play in the best conference in the country, and I truly believe it's the SEC. And with that process, and it's all about preparing the right way. It's all about doing things in the off season that's considered in the dark, that's going to shine when it comes to playing in the big games. And what a great opportunity playing in the SEC. Having additional teams like OU and Texas being a part of the SEC just adds more competition. And so it's very fun. It's very fun to be the starting quarterback at Alabama and to have so much exposure to great talent each and every week. And that's something that we don't take for granted, playing the game that we love and started loving when we were younger. So I just take it as a great opportunity just to be here at Alabama and just represent the Alabama in a positive light.
Though, everyone has Georgia, Alabama circled on the calendar. It's two of the best programs in the country playing against one another, and early too in the season, which is exciting. When you take a look at a team like Georgia, who has had a lot of success in recent years, how much respect do you have for a program like that, and what will that game mean to you when it arrives?
Absolutely. The biggest thing, you have to respect all your opponents. No matter who we're playing, you have to acknowledge what makes them special. Each and every team that we play against, they have something unique about their team. And when it comes to game planning, we will see that when it comes to game planning against those guys. And it's evidence of why they're successful and why they are doing really well with their program. And so for us, it's all about respecting all your opponent but not fearing none of them. One thing I can truly say is that it's hard to beat a team. And one thing that we have this year is a true team in all levels of defense, offense, special teams. We just all want to click on the same accordion.
What do you think is the toughest environment to play in the SEC?
Bryant-Denny Stadium. Lock them gates.
What about on the road?
On the road?
Yeah.
Okay. You try to get me. Okay, you try to get me. Okay, if I had to choose.
LSU looks tough.
Look, I know, cause look, I've been in college for a while now, so I've had a great opportunity to play in front of great crowds. I'm biased towards. I'm from Texas. I got rolled with my home team, which is Texas A&M. Texas A&M was a great environment. Sure. It's always rocking. They're always in sync with their cheers, their chants, and they stand up the whole time. But I gotta break it down. So I say A&M, Tennessee, LSU, and Florida.
Okay.
Was a great.
And what makes them tough? Just the fans are rowdy, it's loud?
I'll say they're passionate. They're passionate about their football team. They're passionate of the game of football. So I think that's what makes those places very special.
The Heisman Trophy, when people have those early conversations, your name is certainly included in those conversations. You mentioned earlier that you're big on setting goals. Is that on the list?
With this time of playing football, there's a lot of accolades that are taking place, but I never try to get weary through the process. I do acknowledge that with great performance, you're rewarded with positive accolades, and it comes with just playing well, and it also comes with just the confidence level of just going on this process. And so it's definitely a goal that is presented with playing well, and so no one's gonna hold me to a higher standard than myself. I'm very detail-oriented when it comes to my approach of learning the game of football. I have a growth mindset, not a fixed mindset. I just truly believe that I'm not a finished product, and the day I stop getting better, the day I stop seeking information, the day I'm not willing to get better is the day I need to retire and stop playing the game of football. Till then, I'm gonna keep on learning. I just try to do as much as possible, prepare the right way, be around the great coaching staff that I have, and just continue to climb up the ladder of my journey.
What would you define as a successful season for Alabama this year?
So you gotta reflect on long-term goals, short-term goals.
Give them to me.
Our ultimate goal is the standard. The standard here is excellence. Excellence meaning beating our opponent each and every game. When you beat your opponent each and every game, you can get to the long-term goal, which is winning a national championship, and that's the ultimate goal that's here. And it's the standard here of excellence. And so as long as we're going on this process, our first game shouldn't be our best game. Our second game should be our best game. Each game that we have, we should be getting better as a football team. And so we try to reflect on that and acknowledge that as much as possible, and just try to constantly get better and constantly challenge ourselves to not get complacent. The team that get complacent, the team that get beat and not able to sustain a season. So that's how we should try to approach the season. But it didn't start now. It started as soon as we lost against Michigan and we got back to Tuscaloosa and started workouts. And we started to approach our flipping the pay from 2023 to 2024. And so a lot of the work that was done in the dark will come to shine through our determination, through our hard work, our work ethic and commitment level of all the guys in the locker room.
Well, I'd love to start with this. Your first game as Alabama head coach is officially in the books. What were your emotions on Saturday when you were walking out onto the field for the first time?
In all honesty, it was more about just the game. I think I'd gotten past that spring ball, and it was really cool at that time, seeing the fans and just kind of understanding how far we'd come just in those few months. You get to this point, you go through fall camp, this is our team, this is our season, and it was all about that. Are we on time? Were we in the right spots on the football field in pregame? And then, of course, are we executing, doing what we're supposed to do when the kickoff happens?
You received your first game ball from your quarterback, Jalen Milroe, after you guys won your first game. What did that mean to you?
Yeah, it's special. The team has just embraced, not me, but just me, but the entire staff in such a special way. And, I think that symbolized that as well. And Jalen just does such a great job, and he, the moment and all that, it's really cool. And it was fun to get that first one under our belt. It was really good to get that first one under our belt, and we move on from here. But yeah, it means a lot that the team feels good about the direction we're going, not just myself, but the entire staff.
Jalen is one of the best quarterbacks in the country this season. For you, and a guy who's worked and had a lot of success with quarterbacks in your career, how do you think your coaching style can help leverage his strengths?
Yeah, we're just working through every moment, every series he's out there, whether it's in practice or especially in the games as well, just talking through with my demeanor, and I think just understanding of how it's gone over the years and what works and what doesn't. We have new tools on the sideline now with the iPads. There's new communication with coach-player communication. That's more done with Nick Sheridan, our coordinator, but there's a lot of little intricacies that can happen, and I think all of us just working together. And I think we're doing a pretty good job through week one of doing that and giving Jalen all the tools, all the support that he needs to learn from whatever happened, good and bad, and go out there and make the next drive even better.
What do you think his ceiling is as a player?
It's pretty high. Just walking off the practice field today and seeing the ball come off his hand, it's spinning, and just us continue to work through the discipline and that it takes to be a great quarterback, whether it's your progressions and the process that you go through in your week, just all those different areas. You're never going to question Jalen and his work ethic. You're never going to question the want to, and it's not just individually, it's what he does as far as leading our football team. And so that ability to throw the football as well as he does, along with something that makes him extra special, and that's his legs. You saw it week one with just being decisive, and when things broke down, take off and run, and those aren't just moving the chains type of plays. Those are explosive plays that can go the distance anytime.
You seem to be a coach that really values connecting with your players, and I saw somewhere on Twitter that you have a Snapchat and that players can Snapchat you. Is that true?
Well, they could.
Okay.
I'm not very good with it, so they may have at some point, and it probably is one of the least used social media pieces that I have. But yeah, that Billy would. I think more of them just probably text me, and that's probably the easiest route for us to go still at this point.
Why is it so important to you to connect with your players in that way?
Well, I think that's what this is all about. I think coaching is a people business. And the people, your staff, the people that you're working with, and of course that's the players more than any. And I think getting to the point where you're on the same page, where you're fighting the same fight together. And how do you get to that point? It's communication. It's just building those relationships, and that's why I do what I do. It's fun seeing these guys grow. It's fun seeing them go through this time of their life that I think is one of the most influential as they go from boys in high school to young men, and there'll come a point when football's over with too, and having that impact is important to me.
I have to ask you, of course, about Coach Saban, because he left an incredible legacy here. How are you kind of adding your own identity to this program while building on the foundation that he built here?
Yeah, there's so much of a foundation to build on, as anyone would know when it comes to Alabama football. The wins, the championships, all those things, and the great alumni that made it happen. It's to me what you got to celebrate. You got to celebrate, and it's our responsibility to carry on the tradition that exists, and that, of course, Coach Saban's a huge part of that, and it's pretty easy to celebrate everything he did and the impact he's had, not just on this program, but I think college football in general.
He called you before your first game. What was that conversation like?
He called, and it was, again, him wanting to just make sure the players knew just that he was thinking about them, that he was rooting for him, will be watching the game. I actually thought because of his other duties he might be watching the game on TV, but he made sure he got back, and that says a lot about how important this place is, but also those guys, that he wanted to make sure through me the guys got the message, and that's the least I could do, considering many of these players that are here, most of the players that are here, were recruited, by Coach Saban, and of course, made this decision to come here because of Alabama, but also because of him.
I know that it's early in the season, but I'm curious from your perspective, what would you define as a successful season for Alabama in year one as head coach?
There's a lot of different ways to go. I guess the biggest thing is there's been times where if I give a win-loss, which I think is what people are really looking for, or how many rounds in the playoffs, or the end goal, that I probably worry about more about selling the team short than I do anything. You know, that if you just reach this benchmark, it's considered a successful season. I think there's a lot of challenges, obviously, we're going through. Anytime you bring this many people together, from coaches to players, we got a lot of new faces in all those areas on our team. There are certainly challenges, but I do feel that because we have the right people in place, there's a high ceiling for us. And the whole thing then is to focus on what it takes each and every day and making the most of the opportunity we have right in front of us in that moment. So that's how I, really look at the success. It's all about what is the attitude, what is the energy and effort that's going into today and tomorrow, making sure that it's even better.
My last question for you. People say that football is just different in the South. It means more. Being from the West Coast, I'm kind of getting a taste of that, down here. Would you say that it means more down here? What are the biggest differences that you've noticed from the fans and the culture?
Well, to put 100,000 people in a stadium on opening game, and just seeing that a city of this size can bring that in, there's got to be something special. And a football program like ours, but also just football down in this part of the country, it is extremely important. It's important to the fan bases and just what they do on each and every Saturday, but it's not just in season, it's out of season, and it's fun to be a part of. And I really came in understanding, I think, and expecting that it would be seen in that light by everyone that wants to follow our program, and our players appreciate that. And the alternative is to have something that isn't, and I guess the microscope that we're under, I have an appreciation for that. It's a lot of fun to be a part of.
Did you have chills at all when you heard Dixieland Delight for the first time? That's an Alabama staple.
I'll be honest, I didn't even realize that it was happening. You have your headphones on, and I do remember the lights going down at one point because it was dark, and so you're just so caught up in coaching that you kind of miss out on some of those things. So I'll be honest, I didn't really realize that it was happening. That's no offense to how great of an environment it is when that is being sung by our fans. It's an awesome thing, but I did miss it, even though I was right in the middle of the stadium, which seems crazy.
It's locked in. That's what you should be doing,
That's right.
Thank you so much for the time. I so appreciate it, and we're just looking forward to seeing what you guys do this season. It's off to a great start.
Thank you. Roll Tide.
All right, guys, we are here inside of Bryant-Denny Stadium. I mean, this place is absolutely unreal, and I have a very special guest with me, Chloe Holladay.
Hi.
She's a TikTok sensation and a member of the Alabama Crimsonette. First, I want to know, how did you even get in to being a Crimsonette?
Yeah, so I started twirling when I was 5 years old, so this has been a long journey. I always knew I wanted to go to Alabama. There was no other option. Tried out Alabama my freshman year, and that was, of course, COVID 2020. And I made the team, and here we are today.
What I feel like people don't realize is that what you're doing is actually very physically demanding.
Oh, no, absolutely. And I feel like a lot of people don't realize that we actually have, at the beginning of August, we do our boot camp, which is 3-day practices at the beginning of August. And so we're practicing 3 times a day in the Alabama heat, which is 100-degree weather, and we're on a turf field, so it makes it 130 degrees, it seems like, and we're practicing 10 hours a day. And so it's very physically demanding, very physically demanding. We're stretching for 20, 30 minutes before practice, and then we're practicing for 2.5 hours. You go home, and then it's a 6 to 7 month season, so we do have to take care of our bodies.
Yeah. I mean, one of the most iconic stadiums ever. The stadium, I think, seats over 100,000 people.
Yes, 110,000 people.
What is it like performing for this many people every single week during the season?
I mean, the atmosphere at the University of Alabama is untouched, unmatched. Being on the field, Thunderstruck, they play Thunderstruck when the football team runs out. So being on the field, I just look at my feet, and I look around, and I'm what is life? Honestly, I'm this is crazy. It's such a, I just want to stop time, and I just want to take it all in, because all the fans, they're screaming and they're cheering, and the band, they're playing Alabama, but the band will be right beside you, but everyone's screaming so loud that you can't even hear the band because everyone's so loud, which is such a crazy feeling. So like I said, it's an unmatched feeling.
Time to clean my dirty game day boots and baton. We're at Alabama, we had a game this past weekend. Every game day, my boots and my baton ends get dirty. I always end up getting red lipstick on my baton end. Lipstick is hard to come off.
Why do you think followers connect with your content?
I just feel like I'm real. Like, I feel like when I want someone to meet me, I want to be the same person. Just like a college student, I'm human, just like everybody else. And so I just feel like, you know, I go to McDonald's, I do all the things, you know.
Okay, I want to ask you about balancing it all because you're in nursing school, you're a student, Crimsonette, social media sensation. Like, how do you balance it all, and what's the most difficult part about balancing a social media career?
I would just say, like, trying to make time for, like, the things that matter the most, like friends and family. God's number one, obviously, so like making sure I go to church and getting my time in with God every single day, and my friends and family has been number one, and then adding everything else in after.
Okay, so what's next for you post-college?
Yes, so I graduate in December. I'm super excited. I've, you know, started hosting some things, like I've hosted Rock the South, Auburn Rodeo. I've always had a dream of, and I would love to be the first NFL majorette.
And majorette is essentially
baton twirling.
Yeah, baton twirling for people that don't know.
That has never been a thing before, and so you only have NFL cheerleaders, and I think it would be awesome to be the first ever NFL majorette.
Alabama football, home to a $280 million state-of-the-art football facility. When you walk in, you immediately notice all of the program's accolades on the walls, from SEC championships to national titles and Heisman trophies, and even Sports Illustrated covers. Alabama has sent over 400 players to the NFL. When you walk around the building, you'll notice images and even jerseys of former players on the walls, a reminder of how many greats have come through this program. Inside the team's meeting room, you'll find inspirational messages, words like effort, commitment, pride, toughness, and discipline on display, and phrases that have become pillars of this program for years. When players want to unwind, they can visit the Players Lounge, a room that has everything you could ever need, including cornhole, pool tables, games, and even an in-house barbershop called Bama Cuts. We all know that Alabama is an elite football program, and their facilities are no different.